Hi guys and girls, welcome back once again to the Kellner Chronicles, episode 4. Yep, we've got to 4. And after yesterday's video, our top 10 of things in the Philippines to be wary of, the good news is I've had a few more subscribers, taking me to the great number of 10. Yes, over the moon. I mean, I'd rather have 10 than none. And to be quite honest with you, it just shows that some people are taking an interest in what I have to say and what things we're doing. But there'll be much more and more to come over time. I've been encouraged to do more of these top 10s by a couple of friends, and especially my wife. She loved the last one. Maybe she's just partial, being her husband and everything. But, you know, I enjoyed it. I really did. So I'd like to do more. Now, let's have a look at today's things. I got a bit miffed recently, peed off, wound up, and fed up from some of the comments that I've seen on vlogs from so-called YouTubers, mostly expats. Excuse the logo. I'm not trying to advertise anything. Unpaid and unsubscribed, so it's one of those things. Unfortunately, it's just what I wear. But getting back to what I was saying, I got really wound up, and I've been getting more and more wound up recently about some of the things that expats and tourists say about the Philippines. So I've decided that these top 10s should come in handy for anybody traveling there, and it should shed some light. As I say, all my videos are from my perspective. Other people may have a different perspective. Some people may have a different opinion, and they're entitled to it. But this is mine, and I try to keep a balance with it. I even don't edit much my videos. I may add some things in, but I really don't edit, because at the end of the day, I'd like you guys to see what there is. I think that too much editing makes the thing like a TV program and also fake. So let's say this is live, but it's not really. But it's definitely uncut. So, without further ado, let us look at the top 10 bad and good things, for now, there are many more, regarding your time in the Philippines. If you go on holiday, or if you intend to retire there, or if you're going for a long term, or even married to a Filipina, or Filipino. Could be any. So, let's have a look at that. So we're going to do now, without further ado, we're going to roll credits and we're going to get right into it. Back in a minute. Okay, welcome back. Nice to see some of you still back with me. So let's get straight into this. As I said, I got really wound up with a lot of the comments that I've been reading, hearing, and it's been getting me down a bit because the Filipino people have been given a bad rap by foreign nationals who are staying there. I mean, if you're in that country, that's not your country. And as the golden rule says, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Unfortunately, this hasn't been the case. People are just using their, should we say, nationalism, taking it with them and expecting to use it there. It's not our country. You can do that. You can scream as much as you want in your own country, but try to be a bit more respectful. The Philippines is a beautiful country and the people are beautiful, so try to remember that. And it's their land, so have a bit of respect. Okay, enough of my ranting. Let's get down to it. Number 10, bad healthcare. The first bad of the 10, right? Bad healthcare. Unfortunately, and a lot of the time in the Philippines, the healthcare is very much like it would be in America, where you've got to pay for it. And it can be extremely expensive depending on what you're going for. Personally, I've had a few experiences with bad healthcare there. My wife and I, whilst driving home from a shopping trip on our motorcycle, we both got hit from an oncoming non-braking tricycle, which is one of these like mini taxi things on a motorcycle with a sort of sidecar to the side, full of people. The driver was drunk. The brakes failed on the vehicle. He came out of a side road onto the main road where we were, smashed me straight in my arm here, and smashed up my wife's hands, causing severe damage. We ended up going to the hospital where they patched us up. My wife's fingers were in a bad way. My arm was just torn up. And we were there for hours. All they did was put a bit of iodine on my arm. They didn't even patch it up or nothing, just a bit of iodine. And then on my wife's fingers, they just put a couple of plasters. The sad thing is, it all cost in excess of $150 US or over £100 British, which for those Filipinos to understand a bit better, it's between 5,000 and 7,000 pesos, which was at the time very expensive. When you consider what they did, it was just ridiculous. No injections, no medication, a bit of iodine, and bye-bye. So that was disappointing. But this isn't the first incident. That's one incident that we had. Another incident was obviously my mother-in-law. Poor thing's now passed away. So hopefully she's resting in peace now. But she had diabetes, and that cost us a fair packet. We're looking at 70,000 pesos, I think it was, or more, which is about 1,000 British pounds and about 1,200 to 300 US dollars, give or take. I'm not sure about the exchange rate. You know, may not sound a lot, but that was only for 10 days. And all she did was lie there. They did a few tests on her, gave her a few medications, and sent her home just for her to stuff herself with sugar again, even when I tried to stop her. I bought her all sorts of saccharins and God knows what, but that didn't help. But that's another story. Fact of the matter is, we're talking about healthcare. It's expensive for very little. And the stories that I've heard are horrendous. You know, foreign nationals being there, getting into a nasty accident, being injured or hurt or some sort of illness. They've ended up in hospital. Hospital stopped treating them when the money stopped coming in. One incident was of a German national that I believe he was being treated there and unfortunately passed away before he could get finished being treated because he didn't have enough funds, so they stopped treating him. Unfortunate. I believe the embassy got involved and it was a big hullabaloo. So be warned, if you do go to the Philippines, travel insurance, make sure it's fully covered and it's medical and that it can be used in the Philippines. Cover yourself because it's very, very dangerous. If you go there without anything, you risk being in a lot of trouble. Your health is everything. Okay, so don't quit it. Okay, now we're going on to number 9. Good. Fruits. Oh my golly. Fruits. The Philippines fruits are just unbelievable. Outside of my very house, I could pick avocados, guyabano, papaya, and more. I mean, they have everything, and the coconuts are amazing. The buko juice, which is coconut juice, with the jelly coconut inside, is to die for. I mean, I can't help it. I'm a pig for it. And the yellow mangoes. I'm sorry if anybody has another preference, but for me, yellow Philippine mangoes are the best. They are. They truly are. And they are wonderful. And so inexpensive. And yet, the foreigners go there and they're more interested in having an apple and a pear. Really? Guys, try the local produce. You're missing a treat. I am a bit of a piggy. I will stuff myself stupid with it. But then again, why not? Okay. Oh, by the way, make sure you try it. 8. Bad. Okay, police presence. In places like Dumaguete, where my wife is from, police presence is almost non-existent. It doesn't mean they're not there, it's just that you don't see them. They're not patrolling, they very rarely do. They tend to stay inside their stations, unless, of course, they're doing a checkpoint for bikes. And unfortunately, that police presence, when it should be needed, isn't around. Going back to my accidents on the bike, it took the police I believe it was about 30 to 40 minutes to arrive, whilst the drunken driver was trying to steal my Philippine driving license so he could pretend that I didn't have one. Another story. But yes, police presence, it's not a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the police are bad there. I wouldn't do that. They did try to help us when I had my accident, and we only managed to recover not even half of what we paid. But I've seen incidents, and I've been involved in incidents unwantingly, where being the victim, they try to make me out to be the guilty party. So yeah, be very careful. Another good thing is, if you're staying long term in the Philippines, invest in a retainer on a lawyer, a good one, because you never know. I'd rather pay, say, I don't know, £50 or $60, $70, or the equivalent of 3,000-4,000 pesos a month on a retainer for a lawyer for these eventualities. It's important. But if you're just staying there for a couple of weeks, just be smart. Okay. Not all police are bad. I just think it's the situation that they find themselves in. Okay, at number 7, we're going back to good. Right. The Filipino people, their ingenuity, inventiveness, and artistry. In the last 11 years, I have seen masons and artisans and builders and construction workers, and I've seen them work like I've never seen before. I cannot believe the speed that they can work. I cannot believe what they can achieve, and they are accurate. You know, they are fast working, hard working. They don't mess around, and they do it for pennies. Imagine being paid the equivalent of £5 or $7 a day, or in this case 350 to 400 pesos a day, to do a hard day's graft. You know, lifting bricks, putting the bricks down, laying the bricks, building the walls, building the structures, putting up the roofs, and you're paid very little, but yet you do it with pride. And their workmanship is unparalleled. And some of the artwork that they put into those buildings, you know, with a little nail stuck through a plastic pipe and tapping it with a spanner or a pair of pliers or whatever, just to make little marks to make it pretty. Saw that outside the Hotel Palwa in Dumaguete, and they were doing the cement on the floor, and the pattern that they made was like a palm tree, Palwa palm tree, outside, and it was just beautiful. So yeah, I mean, I've got to admire the Filipino people. They are so inventive. Definitely something to catch up on, and very artisty. Seriously, they are just unbelievable. I know it sounds like I'm really praising them, but it is. I'm not lying to you. Okay, back to number 6. Bad. Poor wages. Okay, we just mentioned about wages. I get a very, very healthy wage, and my wife doesn't do too badly either here in Gibraltar. Just look on the map, find us on Google. It's a very small place, but we get paid really well. When I see the Filipinos, the way they are and how they work so hard to get such a low wage, it breaks my heart. We all know that the Philippines is a relatively poor country for the people, not necessarily in itself. Surely a minimum national wage could be organized, and I know Duterte has pushed for it, but it's not been followed through in some of the cities. I guess that's part of the problem. The economy is the way it is, and part of the problem for the poverty. But yeah, I would like to see people with more wages. I mean, my wife herself, when she was stuck there for 4.5 months, when her mum passed away, saw how people without jobs, who were living on very little, had to live on nothing. And thankfully, I was able to send her funds, which she used part of. God, you know, I bless her for that. Part of those funds to help the poor people there, more than 100 families. So my wife, Lucy from Lucy's Lifestyle Journal, thank you, honey, love you. Great job. Made me very proud. Okay, enough mincing. Let's move on. Okay, 5. Good. Levels of education. I mentioned this in my previous video, the education levels there. Per head, I believe the Filipinos have the most university students next to, I believe, China and India. But for the numbers per capita, I think Philippines comes out on top. There's, I think, a billion and a half Chinese and a billion Indians or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure about the numbers. But when you do it per capita, I think the Philippines comes out higher. I think. Don't quote me on this. So, you know, they do really, really well and very, very well educated. One of the best universities there, I believe, is Silliman University in Dumaguete. From what I've seen of the campus, it looks beautiful, and you do get a lot of really well-educated people there. Yeah, you've got a lot of uneducated people there, but I think the more outweighs the less. So yeah, education is very, very good there, but a lot of the time you've got to pay for it. Another issue with poor wages. Right. Let's go on to number 4. Number 4 butts up to number 3 on this one. So you're going to have to bear with me. Right. Tire damage and traffic. So let's deal with that. Traffic in the Philippines can be unbelievable. Okay? Nobody respects the traffic signs, the road signs, the road markings. Everybody's just higgledy-piggledy everywhere. Some people, a lot of the drivers don't even have legal licenses. So you've got to be double careful about how you drive. Something that if you rent a vehicle there whilst you're on holiday, you would be very, have to be very weary of other drivers around you. You really have to think very carefully about how you're driving, because they'll hit you and then they'll try to blame you. And being the foreigner, you'll probably get the blame, even though you were probably the victim. So be careful. Now, going back to the tire damage, one of the things you'll find is there's a lot of shrapnel on the roads, shards of glass, shards of metal. You know, this all comes off big lorries and it just sort of falls off, or, you know, it's probably waste material that's carried by these giant lorries or dump trucks. So, yeah, you're going to get a lot of tire damage. Now, we jump straight on to number 3 from there. Vulcanizers. You're probably thinking something out of Star Trek. No. Most Filipinos will know what I'm talking about, and those that have been to the Philippines will definitely know what I'm talking about. A vulcanizer. If you get a flat tire, you can pretty much stop a couple of doors away from where you got the damage, knock on the door, and somebody there is a vulcanizer. I am not kidding you. There are vulcanizers everywhere. And what they do is they will repair your tire right on your bike for you. And if you look at the way they do it, it is the coolest thing ever. Okay? They will repair your tire in 20 minutes flat. Wow. And they will make sure that that repair lasts. And they use the most basic of materials, a hot burner, some old rubber and some glues and that. And in no time at all, you're back up and running. So yeah, and it's dirt cheap as well. It doesn't even reach £1, maybe $1. Okay, 35 pesos, 40 pesos. So I got to admire that. You know, it's a nice little business, but you need it. So if you do rent a bike, you might need to get a vulcanizer at some point. Okay. We go on to number 2. Scammers, bad. There's been a lot of talk recently about the scammers in the Philippines. It's no different from the ones that we see from the Nigerian emails, you know. King Mobutu wants to give you £1 million or $1 million in your bank account. Please send all your details. Yeah. Okay. There are several scams going on. There was even a nasty one at the airport where I think it was called the Tinin Bala scam. And that was a bullet scam. They would, once you're bag was going through security in the airport, one of the security guards there, or security agents, would stick a bullet, an unfired bullet, into your bag. And then on the other side, scream, "Look, he's got weapons in his bag." Either to try to con you out of money, or to try to get more out of you, or to try to get your stuff. But that wasn't the only one. There's many, many more scams. There's the sex scams, which is videoing online, and there's others. You've got to remember, once again, we go back to the story of the Philippines being a poor country, and desperate people do desperate things. I can't blame the Filipinos all for that. It's not all Filipinos, it's just some. The same as when you're in the UK or the US and you get someone who picks your pocket. That's just another scam. Someone who robs your car, it's another scam. Somebody who breaks in your house, a burglar, it's just another scam. It's no different, it's a crime. Crime happens everywhere. So let's not put all Filipinos into the same bracket as those few that are scammers. All right, so we just got to back off a bit from that. Okay. And finally, number 1. Good. Filipino people themselves. A lot of decent tourists will rate the Filipino people very highly. And then some sort of expats, and not some of the nicer ones, will belittle the Filipinos in ways that absolutely offend me. And I'm not Filipino, but my wife is, and I respect her. What do I think about that? Well, I think it's crap. The Filipino people, as I said before, are ingenious, inventive, artistic. The old saying about making something out of nothing, these guys literally can. I have seen some of their artwork. I have seen some of their homemade stuff. I mean, they will make their own version of a pop gun out of a bottle of liquid gas and a stone that goes, or a marble, that goes inside a tube, and that pop gun will take out a bird that they want to eat. I have seen them make bows and arrows like the old days. I've seen them with slingshots. I've seen them create beautiful objects out of nothing. Just garbage. They make floor rugs out of old t-shirts like this, or out of old cloths, and they will interweave them so you've got somewhere to wipe your feet before you're going out of the house. Now, they're not the prettiest of things, and they do get knackered in a short period of time. But it's inventive. If you look at some of the architecture within the Philippines, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, educated, inventive, intuitive, ingenious. Yeah, definitely so. Some of the experiences I've had with Filipino people has been beyond the pale. Unbelievable. Anyway, I've talked enough. Those are my top 10 good and bads, and my explanations for each. You may not all agree, but they are there. You have to experience it for yourself. And it's been fun again. Now, those who've liked and subscribed, if you would like to leave a comment, something else you'd like to see, I would really love to do a short video on how I met my wife, the stalker. So if you want to know what I mean by the stalker, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Send me a note, let me know, and I'll tell you that story. It's a good laugh. How we met was happy, sad, fun, and very romantic, surprisingly, almost like a film. So if you want to see that story, let us know. Drop us a line. Don't be quiet. Thanks a lot for watching. Remember, if you can, please subscribe. It takes a second. And if you do like, please subscribe. So, yeah. From me, Perry from the Kelmer Chronicles, I'm out of here. See you next time. Thanks for watching.